All right. Well, this is the first post CIM interview. I'm so excited. Welcome to the podcast, Anne.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'm so happy to be here.
You're what, 4 days out from the race? 5 days out?
I am, the whole week seems like a blur. So, but yes, it's Thursday. So, race was Sunday. We are 4 days out, if I'm doing my math right.
Okay, so Anne just qualified for the Olympic trials in the marathon at CIM. You, along with what was it, 61 other women?
I think it was 63.
Okay,
I think it was
63.
63. It was in the 60s.
I watched so many videos of people like just on Twitter and stuff. I kept seeing people post videos, and that pack was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Did it feel
Yeah.
like, you don't see very many races where that pack of people running that 242 to like 246 range is that big.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say like, at the start, it was crowded. There was actually almost no way I could have taken out faster, even if I had wanted to, because I was really boxed in from front and back, both sides. Um, and in retrospect, that actually maybe helped me because I couldn't have gone out too fast because there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And everyone was really, for the first couple miles especially, just it seemed really locked into that 6:17-ish kind of pace. To me, it got a lot smaller as we went. Like it was absolutely packed the first 3 miles. And then by the time you got to 10K, it was still like the road was crowded, but there were, it wasn't where you were going to trip on somebody anymore. And then really by, when you got to 10, 11, to me, it felt really broken up where there was no point where I thought like, oh, I'm really in a pack here of, the same five people that, we're all running exactly the same pace. But I was really with the pacers the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, and that wasn't even really my plan. I was actually planning on kind of going out faster than that. And, if I actually didn't really even have a plan, it made me a little nervous ahead of the race. I'm like, all these other people have their coaches and they've like mapped out, oh, from mile 7 to 9, we're going to do this. And then at mile 13, you better be at that split because it's downhill or, I don't even know if 13 is downhill, but um, going into it, I just knew I wanted to run by how I felt. And to me, it's so important in a marathon. This was my 10th marathon, but I've had marathons where I've gone out just a little bit too fast. And that always comes back to just bite you really hard later in the race. So when I did Grandma's in 2018, so not this past summer, but the summer before that, I went out with a pack of women, and it was like a really concrete pack of like probably 7 to 10 girls. And the plan was to go anywhere between a 6:10 and 6:15. And that whole time I felt like I was just pushing it just a little bit too much. And it really, it came back and got me in a big way over the last, 10 miles of that marathon.
What did you run
So
through the half at CIM?
1:22:24.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
Right.
you negative split.
Yeah. I negative split by 3 seconds.
3 seconds. So pretty perfect.
Yeah, it was very evenly split. And I'll say, going into this, I really didn't know for sure I could do this at all. And even at the halfway point, I think you hear about people who, have this marathon race where they run it and they're like, wow, I just felt amazing the whole time. And I'm still looking for that marathon. Like this marathon hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at 12 and thinking in my head, like, we probably got a 50-50 shot here. And already at about 11 or 12, I was starting to have some quad tightness, which is really never a good sign. So I was just trying to not think too much about that. And as the race went on, really, we were at, like 16, 17, and I realized I really wasn't that far away from the Pacers still. So I'm like, just stay on the Pacers, stay on the Pacers. And we had gone to meet them the day before at the elite technical meeting, and they were awesome. And they kind of told us what their game plan was to run that just red line of 6:17s, over and over and over again and get as close to 2:45, but then go under. So I knew if I was with them, I could do it. But I was also trying to not think about that because that will really freak you out during a marathon.
That's interesting to me that they were wanting to do those 6:17s consistently just because CIM has those little bit of rollers. So I'm like, were they running the 6:17s on miles that were more uphill and miles that were downhill?
Well, they were going 617 adjusted for the elevation,
Okay.
essentially. But
Okay.
they were like metronomes. I absolutely applaud the pacers, especially Chris, who was like to me like the lead pacer
Mhm.
and the one I ended up being nearest. And he's the one who spoke at the elite meeting, and he was just so enthusiastic and peppy, and just made you feel like these people have got your back. You know, I ended up right directly behind Chris for at least. It's honestly such a blur that I don't even really know what happened over the last 8 miles of that race because I was trying to just turn my brain off and not to think too hard about what I was maybe going to do. But I was directly behind him for at least a couple miles. And then even on the back of his shirt, he had the splits, of, what you needed to hit each
Mhm.
5K to be exactly on. It was just, yeah, it was just crazy. So, but it was a very evenly split race. I looked back at the tracking that everyone else was following along with after the fact. And I don't know how my family and friends weren't having minor heart attacks because I could click through it and see, what my projected time was, throughout the tracking. And it was always like 2:44:52,
Yep.
2:44:57, 2:44:44. It was always in the 240s or 250, 2:44:40 something or 2:44:50
Close.
something. It never was really faster or slower than that I saw. So my little brother Mark told me later that he was screaming at his phone for the entire last mile, and my sister Jill was like, I couldn't even eat my lunch for like a good hour and a half after that. It was just, yeah, it was definitely cutting it close. But if there's one thing I know I have confidence in, it's that I can run the same thing over and over and over again if I kind of lock into that. So, um, in a way, it sounds like a risky strategy, but to me, it was way more risky to go out in like a 121 for the half and then really blow up. And you're also kind of doing that then by yourself. It just kind of worked out perfectly that my sweet spot of what I felt was good ended up being right where the Pacers were. And then I just hung on to them for dear life over the last 10K and made sure I was ahead of Chris during the last 5K because I knew he was running that exact red line and, trying not to think too hard. And then it was just, yeah, crazy.
Well, to just make you feel even more special, maybe, just so you know, your name was on the group text of my girlfriends too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because they, there were like, I don't know, 10 or 12 girls that people were women that they were all texting about, and you were one of them, and they were like, she's got like 20 seconds and that's it. So like, it's funny because you say your friends and family, but also people that you have no idea who they are were texting about you too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
know,
mean, it was
man.
really nervous.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's just it. And so many people that were going for that trials time probably knew that they were going to run like 2:44 if they did it. Like, you're not
Yeah.
going in there thinking, I'm trying to run 2:41 or
Yeah.
2:42.
Yeah.
And well, that's so cool though that that 3 miles, the first 3 miles, that you feel like that pack kind of kept you, straight
Yeah.
with yourself of what you needed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about CIM, but I just would love to kind of get to know your story a little bit more for those listeners who might not know you. Anne go look at her Instagram account. It's Runners Love Yoga. And so, Anne, I think I probably stumbled upon your account a few years ago. And what she's known for, everybody, is being the yoga gal and a really fast runner. So, can you share with us kind of your upbringing and when your love for yoga and running all came together?
Yes. Yeah. It's, really my childhood was a little crazy in that I was not considered a good athlete in any way, shape, or form. I was picked last in gym class all of grade school. And people would actually like tell me to my face all the time, like, Anne, you're so slow. And, they were kind of mean. So I always, though, had dreams of being a fast runner. And, I would run around the playground and like try to train myself during recess to run. And it's actually kind of crazy that I am doing what I'm doing now. If you saw me when I was 8 years old and trying to run and, just being this like little thing flailing around. But I started running in high school, and I was actually immediately really good at it. And somewhere along the line there, I kind of thought like, oh, if I stretch, I'll be better at running. I don't know where I really got that idea. My mom and sister were both gymnasts, and they were always very flexible, and that was not something at all that came naturally to me. So I would go put my Destiny's Child CD on and just stretch for like 20 minutes, and I think actually that early high school stretching kind of helped me figure out some things with like my body awareness and, after a run, this feels good or that feels good. And then when I went to college, I ran at Notre Dame, and I was actually a walk-on. And one thing I'm kind of proud of actually is we started with 14 girls in my incoming class. And by the middle of sophomore year, we were down to 4, and I was the only one who was not on scholarship.
Where did they all go? Did
they
injured, or?
No, they quit. So
quit.
it's hard.
Yeah.
The best days of my college experience were from running, and the worst days of my college experience were from running. Like, you can think of it like that. But yeah, it's just very, very demanding. But there was no way in hell I was going that team. It was so meaningful to me to run for Notre Dame. That just meant the world for me. It was actually really depressing not running for, like, no one talks about what it's like post-collegiately, like for the first year or two when you don't have a team. And it's really hard actually on you when it's so much of your identity is wrapped up in that. For a while, I actually just introduced myself as like, hi, I'm Anne, and I run for Notre Dame.
What's that like walking on, though? Because I ran in high school, and I wasn't super good or anything, but I never considered walking on to a team.
Yeah.
And now, like, just kind of looking at my history and stuff, I'm like, I probably could have just walked onto a team and been like the worst one on the team. And by the way, I'm from Indiana. I live in Indiana. So Notre Dame is like a really hard school to get into.
Yeah, well, I didn't get in for the running. I got in for the academic side of it all.
Which is really hard in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about walking on.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, that was hard. That was really hard. I think you almost can't even understand unless you're also a walk-on. Like, you're almost continually proving yourself the whole way. And there's definitely advantages that the scholarship athletes are going to end up getting just because, the school wants to look like they've done a good job recruiting, even if you're kind of proving yourself daily in and out of practice, that you are fast. So it was hard. There are times definitely when my teammates kind of got me through certain situations that I don't know, looking back on it, I'm like, wow, that was pretty tough that I stuck that out for, I ran for them for 5 years too. Yeah. So, but I love Notre Dame. It's just, I think if you talk to any Notre Dame grad, there's something special about that school that, there's something special about even putting on that Notre Dame uniform that just you can't replicate.
And you ran with Molly Huddle when you were there, right?
I did, yes. So, which blows my mind. She was always much faster than I was.
Was she older or younger?
She was the year above me.
Okay.
But she had a 5th year at Notre Dame, and then so she was a 5th year when I was also a senior. So there was a way where we were kind of like, I was, and then I had a 5th year too, but we were both the 10K kind of gals. So my coach would make jokes about putting me in the 800. Like the day before the meet, he'd be like, "And what do you think you're going to do tomorrow?" And the 800, and to kind of chuckle. But yeah, we were both the 10K girls. So for outdoor track, I would my whole junior year, actually, Molly was one of my training partners, not for workouts, but just for regular runs. Mm-hmm. And it was like every run was like a tempo run for me, and Molly would just be like cruising along, and she's so phenomenal. I'm not surprised at all that Molly has gone on to do what she's done, because she's got her head in a really good place. And like what you see with Molly, with how she's so humble and just kind, that is really how Molly is. It's just, she's amazing. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So after Notre Dame, you're doing your yoga thing. Walk us to what's next.
Oh yeah. So, and I got into yoga more at Notre Dame. Yeah. So, it was very demanding, that type of training on your body, like D1 college running all the time. So I started just stretching a lot on my own. And kind of the joke is, I think my coach, we would usually run like an 800 together as a team, and then stretch as a group, and then go off and do our workout or our run or whatever it was. And I honestly think my coach saw me stretching and doing all my little extra stretches and like taking forever and holding us up, that he probably thought to himself, like, let's just put Anne in charge of this, because then it'll speed her up a little bit with all these stretches she's trying to do. And then everyone else will have to do these stretches as well. So my senior year, he put me in charge of leading team stretching, which I actually loved because, stretching and yoga had helped me so much. I had a really bad IT band injury my junior year that that'll happen when you're a 10K runner and just like doing laps in one direction. And, I fixed myself with yoga. I really did. Like I did, pigeon pose every night for several minutes at a time. I had like this whole thing that basically got rid of this really pesky IT band trouble that I felt like would never go away. So I was in charge of leading team stretching, and one of my teammates was like, Anne, you're really good at this. You should be a yoga teacher. And I thought, great idea. So before I started my PhD program at UVA, I did an intensive yoga teacher training that summer. And then really the whole way through my PhD program, I taught nearly 600 yoga classes during my PhD, which is also hard to do. Yeah. But I think it actually helped me. I actually was the first person in my cohort of my PhD to finish the PhD. So everyone who entered the same year I did, I was the first one to graduate. I think I attribute a lot of that actually to yoga. So yoga will actually not just help you run faster, but it will help you do your PhD faster too. And then I guess while I was running post-collegiately, my best friend Louise was like, Anne, you're so good at teaching yoga. I wish I could take yoga with you all the time. You should make a DVD. And I'm like, that's a great idea, Louise. And Louise is like my best friend. We're just like the best running buddies ever. And I flew up to Boston, and I had some friends who were finishing up film school up there. And I made a DVD, which sounds kind of crazy to just go out there and do that. And that was the start of Runners Love Yoga. And then through Instagram, it really grew because I had these monthly yoga challenges. And to me, I just love the idea that I'm helping runners not be injured because I love running, I love my sports, and they're such an integral part of my life that all the times when I was injured in college, when I maybe wasn't doing as much yoga or hadn't quite figured things out yet, that was brutal mentally and physically. And if I can help people to not suffer through that, then that's 100% what Runners Love Yoga is about. So the tagline of Runners Love Yoga is do yoga, run faster. And I 100% believe in that. It works.
Yeah. I watched your TED Talk that you did, and in the TED Talk, you mentioned that you were only running 40-mile weeks. Did you run that low mileage for CIEM?
No. So it's gone up a little more, but it actually does kind of blow my mind. Back when I ran my 317 at Kiowa Island, I was doing 30 miles a week. Yeah. Like, I'm not even talking 35. Yeah. It was 30 miles a week, which to me is just, I'm like, wow, that was awfully brave of me right there to be thinking I could run a marathon off of that. But I'm still very low mileage.
What did you do leading up to CIM?
For CIM, so I looked back at my training log actually yesterday. And if anyone wants a super detailed breakdown, I just wrote the race report that has, it's like week by week and even includes my long run length. And that's on my website. But the 15 weeks leading up to CIM, I ended up peaking almost a month out, and I did 61.
Wow.
But that was the highest. That was the only week I had even near 60. And then I think 5 weeks before that, I was between 49 and 54.
Okay. That's my kind of training, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to break threes, maybe in the next year or two. And I just don't, this sounds weird because I love to run, but I don't love it. I don't love it enough to run more than that. I don't want to run more than that.
Yeah. I don't ever want to run 100 miles a week. No. I think that sounds awful. I would not feel good.
I wouldn't feel good. I'd feel like my body was constantly broken down. And I also just don't want to spend that much time doing it.
Yeah. Know? That would take me absolutely forever. I also actually, people are not even going to believe this, but I really don't do any running workouts.
Really?
Real quick,
race. Will you put your hair to the other side? Just because I think it's touching the microphone, and I can just kind of hear it jostling.
Okay, better?
Yeah. Well, just see.
Okay, good.
See where your microphone is? like the on your headphones, that
Oh,
little white thing there. I think that that's your mic, and so when
is
your
it?
hair touches it, I think that it
Oh,
just
got
kind
it.
of
I'll
picks
just
it
put
up.
my hair back and not
Yeah,
move my
no
head.
big,
Okay.
no big deal. I was just like, I should just say something because otherwise it's going to continue to be in the recording.
Okay, good. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. So go ahead. No, you were saying nobody's going to believe this.
Oh, no one's going to believe this, but I really don't do any running workouts.
Really?
I race a lot. I
Oh,
love
okay.
racing. And, my goofy, low mileage, high racing system kind of developed in grad school by mistake, mostly because when you're getting your PhD at the University of Virginia, it's not always possible to be running what you were running in college. It just was not physically possible. Like you're getting a PhD in the humanities, especially somewhere as prestigious as UVA, is no joke. So,
Yeah, I can't
um,
imagine.
yeah. So I kind of by mistake started running 30 miles a week because that was really all I could handle. And then, but I love racing. And I found like doing track workouts myself, that was just not fun. And I would go slow and it was just really frustrating. And that just didn't work out at all. So I didn't even try to do that. So I just started racing a lot. And for a while, I was racing almost every weekend, which was actually a blast. Like I love racing. It's to me that's the fun part. You get to compete, you get out there, you get a free T-shirt.
Yeah.
You're up early on the weekend. Otherwise I would probably just sleep in and be lazy, or it takes you forever to get out there for your run. And yeah, so leading up to CIM, I literally did no running workouts. I did no tempos at marathon pace. I did no fartleks. I did no hill workouts. I did no track workouts. I did 11 races. I did 2 miles, 2 1 mile races, and then I think the most of them were in the like 5K to 4 mile range, and I did a couple halves. But yeah, that was from the beginning of August up to CIM. I think it was 11 races.
So when you
Um,
do like when you're running like 50, 60 mile weeks though, are you, like so when I'm not like trying to say, "Oh, every Wednesday I'm doing a track workout or something."
yeah,
Usually like every 5 days or something like that, I'll be like, I feel like running a little bit faster today, and I'll throw in like 3 tempo miles just because it feels good. Is that kind
yeah,
of did that kind of stuff just
no,
happen? No, you just
no.
ran easy.
Yeah, I run easy. And when I run easy, I run really easy. Like the fastest I would run, honestly, was there's this girl, Julie, who lives in town and she is like 100 mile a week gal. So I would run with her on a lot of Fridays and we would be like upper sevens.
Okay,
And that was like regular run pace for Julie. And that was fastish for
like
me.
7:45s or like 7:10s.
Oh, no, like 7:45.
Okay,
It was
okay,
like upper
yeah,
sevens.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then during the week, I teach a running for fitness class at UVA, so I'll run with them on. I don't ever run with them on Mondays, but I always run with them on Wednesday and Friday during class, and then we would be like 8:20 to 8:50.
Man, that is my happy spot right there.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what usually about. I feel like I'm really feeling myself if I'm alone on a run and running low eights.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually, it's so funny that we're bringing this up because I have two girlfriends that I meet to run sometimes, and they, I'll meet like yesterday. We met at 6:15 in the morning, and I was like,
Yeah.
these girls better not be trying to run 8 minute miles at 6:15 in the morning. And
Yeah.
and Colleen, if you're listening, I love you, but they were, and I was like, my 36-year-old body.
Yeah.
Just like
No.
if unless I'm doing a workout, like my happy place is like probably 8:40, really, truly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just like give or take 20 seconds, depending on how I feel.
Mhm.
And and the other girl that I run with, almost every time I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I need to slow down. Need to catch my breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I just ran a marathon at 7:45 pace. It's not that fast, but like running anywhere near that is like,
Oh yeah.
it's
It
crazy.
it like would freak me out sometimes because I would hear about other people who were trying to get the OT cut, and they're like, I went out. What was really pivotal to my training was I was doing these long marathon tempos, or like finishing a long run at faster than my intended marathon pace. And I'm like, there is no way, unless I'm in a race situation, that I'm even touching that. And I don't know why that is. And if I didn't race, I would probably think that I'm a lot slower than I actually am. I think it's also important to realize I'm doing a lot of exercise just because I'm a yoga and fitness instructor. So I think that's where I get a lot of my intensity, where if I try to do track workouts and, like these kind of standard runner-ish workouts, I would be just entirely beat up the whole time. So I do teach a spin class on Monday night, and that's 45
Oh,
minutes
that's
long.
probably awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love spinning too. So I think that's the other thing too is if someone has, a different kind of workout that they really enjoy, whether it's cycling or swimming. I love swimming. Swimming was my first sport, and that was the hardest thing for me about running in college, was that I really couldn't swim quite as much as I was used to, or, I just love being in the water. It was my yoga before I did yoga. People, you can do these other workouts that make you a stronger athlete overall and then a better runner. And you can make some of those workouts more intense, where you don't have to be going out and like busting out, like 800s on the track at like 5K pace.
Yeah, you're still getting your heart rate up.
Yeah, exactly. So I do that spin class on Monday night. And then Wednesday, I usually teach a class called CIEM, which is 30 minutes cycle, 30 minutes yoga. So that's intense enough. And then I do some pretty hardcore swim workouts that I just love. And I love being in the water, and that's, weightless and good for your body that way. And besides that, I just do like an absolute ton of yoga.
Do you swim like once a week?
Oh no, it's a lot more than once a week.
Really?
It's like practically every day. I love swimming.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's like, are you already at the gym anyway teaching a class, and you're like, I'm just going to hop in the pool for 40 minutes or something?
Sometimes it's like that, but my swimming is really pretty structured. Even I'll know like on Tuesdays, that's like my really high volume, high intensity swim day. I'm talking
volume?
Like, people, I can't even, they're like not even gonna believe me, but I'll do like a real swim practice, like at least 5,000 yards. Yeah.
Really? Well, this is why you can run so fast too.
Yeah,
swimming
exactly.
is really hard.
Yeah, I love swimming. I could swim all day. It's
really.
I should tell. This is like a story I tell people, but I swam before I ran. And, I told you when I was growing up, people made fun of me for being bad at sports. And that's all I ever wanted to do, was be a great athlete. And it worked out because I just read a ton, and then I got my PhD, and I did it in the right order. But I learned to swim when I was 11, which is actually really late in the swimming world. But I immediately just loved it. And my swim coaches and my swim teammates were sometimes just the most important people growing up in my life, friend-wise. And where am I even going with this? I don't know. I just love being in the pool. It's just awesome.
I can't even. So for those listening, when we say like, oh, you can run 50, 60-mile weeks and still run really fast.
Yeah.
Don't forget that she's also getting in the pool like every day then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge part of it. Years ago, I tried that run less, run faster method. And it's like, well, that really only works if you actually do all the cross training too.
Yeah.
That makes it legit. Yeah, for sure.
It to me makes it more fun too, because it's just so much more interesting to like run and swim and do yoga than just go out there and when I go out and do like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I would usually do a longer-ish run, like 10, 11 miles. And if I wanted to do a double that day, I don't want to go run more than that. It's just a lot, but it's easy to go hop in the pool, or easy to go on your yoga mat, or easy to go on the bike, so it's, you can do a lot with the cross training, and I think a lot more than people realize. And runners get very attached to running, but if there's something else they love to do, I would say, like, whether it's swimming or biking or something else, like, or Zumba, whatever, try adding it in, because they might just have so much more fun, and then they do it more anyway, and it all works out for the best.
Yeah. When I trained I did a half Ironman like 5-6 years ago, and that made me appreciate running so much more, because I was like so committed to the bike and the swim, because those were the things I was not good at, that on my days I got to run, I just appreciated it so much more, because I was like, oh, it's a run day, and that's like my thing. Like, that's what I'm good at.
That's awesome.
That being said, I really struggle getting back in the pool. And for me, a good day is like 1,700 meters,
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I really love my long swim workouts. Like,
and are you doing like repeats, like 10 times 100? Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I miss swimming competitively so much in college. Like, I would sneak off to the pool and not tell anyone where I was going. And
really,
I would show up to practice or to dinner with like my hair wet and just pretend like I had showered. Because if you aren't a swimmer, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And you have enough kind of crazy personalities in college running that I'm like, they're going to just think I'm just trying to get more exercise in. But really, I just miss being in the water. And I would run. I'm from Pittsburgh, and my little brother is a swimmer, and he swam for Rollins College in Florida. He actually swam and ran for them, which to me sounds like the dream life, like swimming and running on a team in Florida.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that. So, but Dan swam for Team Pitt, which was a really awesome aqua club in Pittsburgh. And I would drive in with Dan and my mom while I was running at Notre Dame, and I would go run through Shenley Park while Dan swam. But you can't run as long as a swimmer typically swims. So he would have his 2-hour swim practice, and I would get back there, and I would go stretch up in the bleachers and look down on the swimmers like in the middle of their hard set, and I would be so jealous. Like I wanted so, like I'm like, dang, like I miss that. I miss that sort of intensity and like that high you get from your hard set in the pool. So really, after I was done running at Notre Dame, I was, like kind of bound and determined to get back in the pool. And somewhere along the line, I just started swimming more and more, and I'm like swimming as much as I did in high school now.
Do you talk about that on your Instagram too, or do you mostly just talk about running and yoga?
Well, I think people follow me for the running and the yoga. So if I start saying too much swimming, people are like, what are you doing?
Oh, I know.
So there's a little bit of that, but I am sponsored by Arena.
Okay.
So which is, a swim company, and they're amazing. So, and I would actually 100% rather be sponsored by them than like a running company. They're amazing. And they've treated me so well, and if any runner is listening to this and need some goggles, they need to go to Arena because they
really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just came out with some new ones called like the Airsoft that have these like honeycomb seals that help you not get goggle marks on your face. And it's just, yeah. So, but there are enough swim pictures on my Instagram where I'm like doing yoga poses at the pool.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I hate getting water in my goggles, and I always just buy cheap goggles from Amazon. Like, oh, these look great.
Oh gosh, no, you need to get Arena makes these ones that have this anti-fog that actually works.
Okay.
Yeah. Check it out.
I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah.
I know what you mean though about Instagram, because I recently, like, this podcast is like my thing. Like, this is my main thing. But I recently started a second one that's like not related to running at all. It's more of like a social entrepreneurs and, like nutrition and wellness and just this whole holistic thing. And it's not related to running at all. And I'm like, am I like too all over the place? But like, I'm super passionate about that too. But I know that 90% of the people following are there for the running and the podcast that's about running. So it's this like, social media is this kind of like weird balance. It's like you want to be your true self and like talk about and do what you're passionate about, but what your core audience is there for. Yes, I totally understand what you mean. Yeah. My husband's like, those people don't want to see swim pictures. And I'm like, but I love swimming. Well, and it's the same thing too with my kids. It's like when I post just like a random picture of my kid who just turned 3 or something, it's like the people that are just there for the running are probably like, who's this random kid in my feed? But then I have this group of people that follow me because they're also moms. So it's just like, it's a weird thing.
Yeah. So we found, my husband was on a cycling photo shoot. He owns and founded Cutaway USA, which is a cycling clothing company. And they were out on a photo shoot this fall, and they found 4 abandoned kittens. And we're adopting 2. I'm actually going to go pick them up in the next 2 days. I had to do a lot of talking my husband into this to get these 2 cats, but they're adorable. And I'm like, I've already created an Instagram for one of them. You know what I mean? And but people, I'm sorry in advance if I have a lot of cat photos in my Instagram story. It's like they're my cat children now. Yeah. Like I can't deny them their online presence. So
it's gonna be. That's gonna be a massive part of your life now.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that is great. How did you meet your husband?
Oh my gosh. So he had moved to Charlottesville to work at the Miller School, which is a private school kind of maybe 20 minutes outside of town. And he'd moved there because they have this really hardcore endurance team. It's actually the biggest cycling program for high schoolers on the East Coast. And people will come from Brazil and China and everywhere to train here because it's actually really great cycling training around Charlottesville and the roads here. So he had moved there for that. And then I was here already for my PhD. And then, being in a PhD program in the humanities, it's like overwhelmingly like you're surrounded by women and, you have a lot of friends, but not a lot of dating opportunities. And my sister was like, you need to just join eHarmony. And I'm like, oh gosh. But I did then.
eHarmony.
Yeah. And then I met Philip at a coffee shop and immediately liked him right away. Like I would have gotten married within 6 months. So but we've known each other 7 years now. Yeah, man, I'm going to just say eHarmony works,
Why?
at least.
But why did you go with eHarmony? Because I feel like people our age more so go with like a Match.
Yeah, well, I actually was on Match and there were a lot of creepers on there. Like, and it was kind of this weird, like, thank God I wasn't, big on Instagram, not that I'm like a celebrity like Kim Kardashian or something, but, there were enough people that knew me from running, even just in Charlottesville, that I was on Match and there was like this creepy guy who would see me at races who kept trying to like match with me. And I'm like, no, you're like 10 years older than I am and I'm not interested. And, yeah, I don't know why did I do eHarmony. I think I just thought that one's more serious and not for people looking for something real casual.
Yeah.
And
I would agree. I would agree with that. It was like that. That's the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now I feel like I got married before people were really doing online dating. I got married in 2008. Not that I think people were doing it then, but it just wasn't as popular yet.
Yeah. Well, even when I met Philip there, so I met Philip in May 9th, 2012.
Okay.
It's the day I met Philip. And even then, like for a while, I wouldn't even tell people we met on eHarmony because it was almost like embarrassing. And now I kind of just don't care.
No.
And yeah, it was just, I don't know. Like to me, it was like love at first sight and I like loved him right away. And it was great that he was an endurance athlete, but also kind of not a runner. He actually can run. Philip is actually disgusting. He will go out, he goes out and he'll be like, I'm going to do a mile. And he'll come back and he's like, guess what my time was? And it'll be like 6:15.
Just like
and I'm
one
like,
mile.
You get out of here. I'm like, you need to either start training. I'm like, all these other women have people like their husbands to train with. And you're just like sitting over here on your bike all the time. It's
because you could have a training
I
could keep up with you.
Yes. If he actually, we actually have been on a couple runs together. Like back when we were first dating, Philip had never run more than like 4 or 5 miles. Also, a little backstory to this is he was actually recruited to run in college for Lynchburg College, where he ended up going. But then he was more like a miler, I think. But he saw the training plan and it was like 50 miles a week over the summer. And he was like, I'm not doing that. And he ended up then forming the college's cycling team, which I'm actually really glad he did that because otherwise he might not have started Cutaway. He might not have moved to Charlottesville to work at Miller School and I might not have met him. So, it really all worked out. But I went on this run with Philip back when we had only been dating maybe a couple years and he was going really fast initially. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, this is going to be the hardest run ever. And then I totally drop him. Like, he's like, I need to walk. He actually said he needed to walk. And then I felt bad. I'm like, I can't leave you out here, like in the middle of the road, that would be horrible. So he made me keep going. And it was this out and back run. On Dick Woods Road, which Charlottesville people, if they listen to this, will understand. It's like a famous runner road here. And, I turn behind me. Philip is nowhere in sight, can't even see him. And then like 5 minutes later, I turn behind me and Philip is literally like charging up the road. And I have no idea how he caught back up to me. But I think cycling like gives you this weird power to, like you think you're done and then you have a burst. And I think that's how people go on rides. So, yeah, Philip's awesome. He should run more than he does. I keep trying to convince him to run, and we'll see. Maybe it'll stick this time. He's made it a goal to try to always run a sub 6 minute mile before the end of the year. So we have to get him going and going to the track.
3 weeks left.
I know. He's running out of time. So last year he did it December 18th. So we're
like
gonna,
every year he wants to just like check that box.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
oh yeah. I went to IU and cycling's kind of big there because we've got the Little Five. Does he ever talk about that? Does he know about the Little Five? Yeah. It's always a big thing.
He's made jerseys for people leading up to the finals of that. I think for the finals, don't they give everyone their own? Like they have
everybody
assigned
has a kit.
jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has
They
their
give
own
them a kit. but he's made kits for people before they got to the finals for
Okay.
that. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this episode is sponsored by eHarmony. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, my running got better after I met Philip too, because I was just happier.
You're just
So
happier. I love
yeah, it
that.
works. Yeah.
I really truly had, I always love asking people how they met their significant other, like if their significant other gets brought up.
Yeah.
And I have interviewed several people who have met their significant others online. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And
I don't
that's
know,
what the
whatever
way
that,
of the world is now, too. Like,
yeah.
some of my best friends I have literally met on Twitter and Instagram. I know that is ridiculous, but
Yeah.
it's
Hey.
true.
It's how it works.
The girls I
There,
was telling you I was texting with about your race, the creepiness
yeah.
that we were all texting about you and we didn't know
Yeah.
you. I literally know them from the internet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into CIM. Now that we kind of have your history and your backstory and
Mhm.
now everybody knows you're a really awesome swimmer too. That's news to
Yeah.
me as well. Let's talk about CIM. You mentioned your cousin Ian and how he kind of brought you strength, his memory throughout that race and the training. So let's talk about that.
Yes. So, um, I lost my cousin Ian to suicide in 2013, and this was really hard for me to deal with. I'm the oldest of four kids, so Ian was someone I always looked up to. He was kind of like the older sibling I didn't have, and he was actually a great athlete too. He played soccer at Allegheny College, just really smart, overall just like awesome guy. So, and then that happened when I was in the middle of grad school, and it was so hard to even talk to anyone about it. Like I honestly couldn't even like mention it to my friends. Like it was just, I couldn't even verbalize it. It was just like a hole was in the middle of the world, and you didn't know why this had happened or you couldn't understand it. And, it was honestly like making me really depressed. Like it was very, very hard to deal with. And, I'd always gone to Catholic school and, it was, you feel like, how can God let that happen? And that doesn't seem very fair. And I was trying to kind of like deal with all of this, and I went to a race in Waynesboro. It was a really small little 10K. And when I got there, I just felt so depressed. It was just like the whole weight of the world was just like weighing down on me. And I can't even really explain this feeling. I felt like probably like what Ian was feeling like. And I don't know. I was even like telling Philip, like, I just don't feel good, and I went up to the registration table before the race started to get my bib number. And got my bib number and I paused there to put the pins into the bib. And, this is a small race. This isn't like the Chicago Marathon. It's a small little 10K in Waynesboro, Virginia. And this guy comes up next to me and they're like, "Sir, what's your name?" So he can get his bib. And he said his name was Ian Fisher, which is exactly my cousin's name.
What?
Yeah, like down to the last name. So at that point, I like kind of got chills over my whole body. And, when he came up to the table too, he had like a hoodie on. It was like you couldn't even really see him that well either. And I'm like, holy crap. I felt like Ian was letting me know he was okay. And, I had been worrying about him and just the whole thing so much. And it had just been absolutely just like weighing on me. And then during that race, I actually had to fend off a girl right behind me, and I was kind of like talking to Ian and being like, "Ian, you gotta help me beat this girl here." And I won the race, and I 100% believe Ian helped me win that race and helped me do that. Like it's just what are the odds that someone comes up next to you who has exactly your cousin's name that you've been thinking about and you've been feeling like the most depressed sort of feeling that you've ever felt in your entire life before that? It was like, before this, it was like, even though I would consider myself a very religious person, I was kind of like doubting, is God even out there? This is ridiculous. And then to have that happen, it was like Ian was letting me know, like, "Ann, I'm all right. And you don't have to worry about me anymore." And, I was recently like looking back at my training and, I struggled for a good while after Notre Dame to, I was hardly even running like a 19-minute 5K. I wasn't very good, at least, by like what I would consider my former college standards.
And what you're doing now.
Exactly. So, that was really a turning point in my running career. And I really feel like Ian has been helping me since then. And then last year when I didn't make it at CIM, so, the first time I thought, oh, I've got a shot at its Olympic cut time or Olympic trials cut time was in 2017. I won Kiowa Island in 2:52. And I'm like, that really wasn't that bad. I think I can take another 7 minutes off. And then I ran Grandma's in 2018 and was 2:49. And then I ran CIM last year and I was 2:48, which was a PR, but of course not the PR that I wanted. And then after the race, I had found out the date of the race for this year, and it was on Ian's birthday.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got just like totally choked up and was like, well, of course I didn't make it then because, Ian wanted me to make it on his birthday. So that was, I think, what had to be the plan all along was that I make it at like this very last minute, just under the wire like that. And Ian was helping me out. And even when I didn't make it at Grandma's this past summer, I'm like, it's okay. I'm going to make it at CIM, even though like I also in my mind was like, I don't know if I can. But during the last 10K, I just kept praying to Ian to, Ian, help my quads not hurt. And I felt like he was helping me. Like my quads started to feel better. So there's like no explanation for it except someone was helping me up there. Wow. Like it wasn't at all an easy race. Like I said, at 12, I was really giving myself like a 50-50 shot of hanging in there. And it was really just, I kept thinking like, stay on the pacers. It also like was insane to me that Chris, the lead pacer, was a swimmer.
Yeah. So
he came to the elite meeting and had a swimming t-shirt on. And I was like, almost like crying to myself. Like I was so nervous already, but I was like, wow, this is like another sign. This is just how it's supposed to be. But I couldn't believe the race was on Ian's birthday. That was just.
Are you close with his parents?
Yeah. So my Aunt Judy, his mom, I couldn't wait to text her after the race. Oh. I was like, Aunt Judy, you're never gonna believe what I just did. But it was crazy.
That is so cool. So I don't feel like a lot of people knew that or know that about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still kind of hard to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is so cool. It's like, I feel the same as you. Like when things like that happen, it really I feel like some people say it strengthens their faith.
Yeah.
But like for me, it really makes me doubt my faith because I'm like, because people strengthen their faith because they'll say, oh, I'll get to see that person again, or like, like they find comfort in that. But like
there was nothing that was comforting me about that. It's people who have gone through this. I hope anyone listening doesn't go through this because it's awful. It's not like dealing with someone with an illness who dies. It's just like they're just gone. And you feel like I should have said something or, like Ian was a soccer player and I was in England the summer before and was at the, they call it football, but the football like Hall of Fame up there in Manchester. And I was like, oh, I should send Ian a postcard. And then I didn't send him a postcard. And it made me feel so bad. I was like, maybe if I had just talked to him a little more, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
So it's, it's insane. I actually ran the Tinkerbell half for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention back in 2015.
Okay.
And raised like $1,000 for that. So if anyone listening needs an outlet, they were awesome. Like it really helped me. It's hard to run and cry at the same time. So
what's and then the organization again?
The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Okay.
Yeah. So the AFSP, they will reserve certain spots for people who want to raise money for them, and it's a fundraiser, and you can run in memory of someone and. To me, it was really helpful with dealing with the grieving process to be able to do that. Yeah. And it allowed me to then talk about it, which I hadn't really been able to do up to that point. And then my goal going into it was to get the course record, and I got second. So someone else was but I beat the old course record by 1 second.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Yeah, which is crazy. So, yeah, yeah, I can't believe it. That whole thing at that 10K where the other Ian Fisher came up, it was, to me, that was unreal. That felt like a miracle or something to me.
It really does. And yeah, I mean, it's like I've always kind of been the kind of person who's like, like just thinks, oh, that's a coincidence, but that's too
Yeah,
weird.
it was too weird. It was too weird with like
Yeah.
how I was feeling that day going into it, and then how I ended up winning the race. And really, I really did have to fend off this girl behind me. Like I had to have a good race.
So
Um,
growing up Catholic then, or
yeah.
what you believe now, like, do you think that it was a God thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think Ian was saying, and you don't need to worry about me, and I'm okay up here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
We're
Thanks for
like,
you
we're
let
Ann
me
and I are
tell
doing video. This I usually don't do video, and we're like both teary eyed in the
that.
video.
Yeah.
Wow, that is such a powerful story. So when you go run in the trials in Atlanta in
Yeah.
February, um, yeah, like what's going to be on your mind?
Oh wow. I don't know. I'm honestly going to be just so happy to be there. It's almost impossible to even put into words the amount of work and hope that has gone into this whole process of, this has been my goal all along, but even in the months leading up to this race at CIM, I kept telling my husband like, oh, well, if I don't make it, it'll be okay because I'll just go run a bunch of races in March when everyone else is
Mm-hmm.
out of commission. But I'm really glad that's not what I'm doing. I think, when you watch the video of me crossing the finish, you can tell that this is the case, but it's like a pressure valve, like
Yeah.
comes off, and I can't even believe it. Like I'm still a little in disbelief. I can't believe it still. I cannot believe that that's what I actually did. It's insane. I knew it was in the realm of possible things that could happen, but it's not like I've been running like a 1:15 half marathon,
Sure. Yeah.
I've been running like 1:20 half marathons, and my PR is a 1:19:31.
Yeah. So
So
that's kind of like, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm like right there.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm still slightly in shock that that's actually what happened. But I'm so happy. I am so happy. I've never been so happy to cross a finish line in my entire life. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, just you sharing the story about Ian and everything, it's kind of like we watch people do these big, amazing things and, hit these big goals, but it's like we don't always know every single piece to the story. And we
Yeah.
still don't know every single piece to your story, but it's
Yeah.
just like putting the puzzle pieces together is just
Yeah.
really, really fun to do.
Yeah. You never know what other people have gone through. And I mean, I even think that a lot just as a teacher.
Mm.
All my students are so important to me at all the places where I teach. And, I think about, they don't know what happened with Ian or, other things I've had to go through in my life. And you never know what all these students are going through, and to like allow them to get that little space where they have this time to work out, whether it's the running class or the yoga class, to me is just so powerful to have that sort of thing set aside for them.
What was your hardest mile at CIM?
Oh man. Oh wow. That is a hard question. I would say almost like probably 13,
Mm.
14 when you're halfway through and you're thinking to yourself like, "Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I have to do that again
Yeah.
for a whole half marathon." I think that was probably the hardest part, was that mental hurdle of, at that point I was very unsure whether it was even a remote possibility, kind of, based on how I was feeling. And I had gone through the half so perfectly that it to me seemed almost impossible that I would run that whole thing again.
Yeah, you have no room for error.
Yeah, there was no room for error there. I would say probably beginning at like 17, 18 was when I was really kind of like locking it in. And I actually just kept thinking to myself, just like swimming. That was my mantra.
Oh, I love that.
And I was behind Chris, the pacer, who was the swimmer. And I just kept thinking to myself, if this were a swim practice and you were doing, 2100s on, 130 and you're knocking out, a certain interval, like you would be able to do this, Anne. So just pretend it's swim practice and it's the pain of swim practice. And if you can do that, you can do that here and just keep doing the same thing over and over. Because I knew it wasn't that I had to suddenly run like a 5:50 mile. I knew I just had to keep running exactly what I was running. And I was basically just like clinging to that for dear life and, trying to really not mentally think about what I was about to do, because to me, I would have gotten too emotional or, been like, wow, that's impossible that I could be doing that. And not think too hard, because I was worried that would get in my way. So, occasionally I would have I actually, to me, the last 8 miles is almost such a blur. And I almost don't even have the order of events right, of when things happened, because I was you hear people talking about, oh, I'm focused on 1 mile at a time. I was like more narrow than that. It was really just like swimming. I was just thinking like one step at a time, and making sure I wasn't losing contact with anyone for a single second of that little pace group of pacers.
Do you like 6:17? So like, does that feel really fast to you?
When I was running the race, it didn't.
Okay.
If I were trying to go out and like run a normal run, that would feel like I'm blazing along.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It really wasn't. At no point was the race hard cardio wise.
Okay. Sure.
For me.
Yeah.
It was only hard on a muscular level where things just started getting tighter.
Yeah.
And I could tell that, I think my prayers to Ian helped me out. And, I was just in good enough shape. And I don't even know what I mean by that. It wasn't like I was in good enough physical shape. It was just like things were working well enough that I wasn't going to be in major, major trouble, where I was praying that something wouldn't give out all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think that in marathons, like those miles, like 10 through 15, really mentally are always the most challenging, because it's like, oh man, okay, like this is going to get really hard, and I'm in, but I'm not totally dipped in yet. And so, and then you get to once you get to single digits, you can kind of like process it differently. But I'm with you. It's like, that halfway point is just kind of when it's like, okay, can we do this again?
Yeah. That was crazy. It's nuts.
So the finish line video is amazing. Have you watched it a million times?
Yes. Yeah, I watched it and then I couldn't fall asleep because I just kept thinking about it. Like the day of the race, I watched it like 10 times before I went to bed. And then I was just laying there and thinking like, did that happen? Like, I guess that happened because it's on film.
And then the picture of all of you girls. Are you in that picture that people keep posting?
Yeah, I'm hugging Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that I think you mean the one that Nicole Bush took.
Maybe I don't know.
Like, yeah,
probably.
I don't know.
It's the one everybody keeps posting. I posted it on my stories, and everybody, like, Anne is jumping. Another Anne. Not Anne. What's her name? I think her name's Anne too. I think there's another Anne jumping, and like everybody's. Like, a couple people are hugging, and everybody's like just like watching people come across the finish line, like cheering each other on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was insane to me. Like the whole, we actually, I had already thought we'd passed 20 and we were at like mile 18. And then,
oh gosh, that's not good.
Which shows you how much I was like really super focused on like just clinging to the pace. And then we actually did pass like 18 or 19, and then I kind of swore in my mind a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have another 2 miles or something more than I thought we did. And then to me, in all other previous CIMs, whenever we passed 20, it was like, I remember it very distinctly, I think because I was in so much pain at that point that everything after that felt like I was just on this death march. Whereas this CIM, we passed 20 and I almost didn't even notice it. I know they have like some sort of like fake brick wall to like represent the wall there. Uh-huh. And I remember kind of seeing that in my peripheral vision. But besides that, I had no idea, And then you finally get to like mile 23 and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I can do this if I just keep doing exactly what I'm doing. And at one point, and again, I'm not even sure where, but I think around the last 2 miles, Chris the pacer, I heard him behind me saying like we're exactly on. So I knew that I just nothing failed on me. I was going to get there, and then just running through downtown, and there was so much noise. And at mile 25, I passed my Aunt Melinda, who's my godmother, she came up from Los Angeles to watch me run, and she was yelling it to me like, "You're gonna do it, Anne Margaret!" And and I was like, oh my God, I'm running and I'm like, I hope I can do it. I hope I can do it. And then you pass, CIM is also just the most organized marathon. Like I absolutely commend them. It was so well done, even, on the elite level of things too, as an elite athlete, they so well organized, could not have done better. Even the hydration stations, even if you didn't have the elite water bottles, there was so much out there on the course that you were going to be good. It's such a runner race. But they, even for the elite bottles, they had signs ahead of the tables that said, like elite fluid stations ahead. So you knew to look out for it. And then they had all the tables numbered and really well spaced. I've been at marathons before where people have been just like tripping over themselves trying to get their water bottles off the table. And I've been at marathons before where I've missed most of my bottles because they either weren't there or were on a different table or someone's knocked it down and no one's picked it back up. And I got all 7 of my water bottles at this race. It was CIM did a great job. So you're going into the finish there and there's a sign, it's like 800 to go, and then I like look down at my watch at 800 to go and it's 241 something. And I'm like doing math a little bit, but I also, my brain can hardly even do math at that point. And I'm like, okay, I think we're good. And then I pass 400 to go and I'm not even looking at my watch at this point. I'm just basically like sprinting and like hoping things stay together. And then you pass 200 to go and you round the bend and I could see the clock there and it was 244, like something low enough that I knew I was
like
good.
There.
And then I just started sprinting like a maniac. And then I crossed the line. I just could not believe that I had made it. It was so awesome. And then my first thought after that was, let's lay down. So I actually just like laid down on my back for like 5 seconds. And then people were like, another woman helped me up and I don't know who she was. I feel like I should say thank you. And then a woman medic helped me up and she was like, do you need a wheelchair? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I couldn't wait to go hug Amanda, who I found out later her name's Amanda. But and then this other girl, Jenny. So Jenny and Amanda, it was never, we were like in a pack. But I feel like I kept going back and forth with Amanda. She was in this Wazelle kit and had these 2 little buns on the top of her head. And then I kept seeing Jenny, who had this orange top on, and she had a ponytail with these like little braids in it. And it was just like I could sense their energy. And I was like, these girls are going to make it too. I know these 2 are going to do it. And I could not wait to go give them hugs. It was just like a moment I dreamed of, especially after missing it. Was like getting this chance to celebrate with these other people who had made it with you. It was just, I will never forget that moment the rest of my life. It was so awesome. And then my husband was there and I was like, Philip, I can't believe it. Like I literally, like I think you can probably tell, like I still can't believe it. It was just, and of course, me being me, I had to make it as dramatic as possible and make it by 15 seconds.
Was that what it was? Was it 2:44:45?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was 2:44:45, and it was actually 2:44:48 based on the gun.
Oh, wow. 12. Oh, yeah, because you have to do gun time. 12
you
seconds.
do gun time. I guess you can appeal it if you've made it by your tip time instead, but I'm really glad I didn't have to do that because I think that's nerve-wracking to have to go through that process. So, to make it like free and clear like that and just, I just can't believe it. This is something I've wanted to do for so long. My best friend Louise made it back in 2016.
Oh, really?
She made it at that one year at Boston, the year that Boston had really good weather.
Oh, she ran up there. Wow.
There was a good tailwind. Yeah. So she just got it too.
But so was that too early for her to qualify for the 2020 trials?
She hasn't made it for 2020. She's since retired.
Cool, because I was gonna say 2016.
Yeah.
It's like for instance, if someone qualifies in like 6 months, it's like you got to do it again for 2024.
Correct. Yeah. So I think I don't remember what year of Boston that was, but she ran it the one good weather year for Boston, and at that point, I don't think I had even I hadn't even run a marathon yet. I don't know. Maybe I had.
Wow.
I don't remember. My first marathon. Maybe she made it in 2012. I don't know. Yeah, she made it in 2012, not 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but my first marathon was actually 7 years exactly to the day from Sunday, which
really?
I only realized that thanks to Facebook. Because
Uh-huh.
Facebook was like 7 years ago on this day, this was your most liked photo, and it was me at the end of my first marathon.
Of course that was your
Yeah,
most liked photo.
yeah.
Oh
So
my goodness. Well, I
yeah,
guess part of qualifying, even if you don't do the trials, is like you ran the standard.
yes,
Because I know some people that have qualified, like then get pregnant or something like that, where they
yeah.
just can't make it to the trials. So
To me, it's almost, especially for those of us, I think in the 240 to sub 245 range, just to me, CIM and the process of making it there it's almost like trials are the reward.
yeah, oh for
At
sure.
that marathon, I'm going to just be so dang happy to be there, and I'm going to go for a PR, and that's going to be the goal again. But I'm going to just be so happy to be there. It's nothing like the pressure that I felt in a way going into this race. I also think the day before a marathon is just the most intense thing ever. You're just thinking in 24 hours or less I will be running 26 miles, which to me just sounds like a crazy thing to do. Like
Yeah,
that's a long way to go.
yeah.
And that doesn't, that was my 10th marathon, but I still feel that about marathons. I don't know. Maybe if I ever run an ultra, which I don't think I will because that's too long, I will start to not feel like that about 26 miles. But that's just such a long way to go. So
Yeah, but the trials,
yeah.
even though you're going for another PR, it's like the pressure of what you just had on you is gone. So
Oh
maybe this
yeah.
time you'll be like relaxed.
Yeah, I think I in a way I really will be. I'll just be so happy to be there. It's just, I am so pumped. I just can't believe I get to go. I can't believe it.
It's so cool. Will your husband go with you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's coming. My mom and dad are coming. I think my sister's coming. There's my Aunt Melinda is going to come in from California to watch it.
Yeah,
So
so where was Philip on the course at CIM?
he had a jump bike and kept going through all these back roads to try to see me at different
Uh-huh.
places. And Philip, being the good cyclist he is, actually did a great job of like popping up. I kept thinking to myself, like, wow, how did he get up here
Mm.
already? So, and it was actually awesome too, because Philip's seen all of my marathons except for Steamtown, which actually did not go well. And I always felt like, oh man, maybe it would have been better if Philip had been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheering me on. Philip's lucky to have. But oh my gosh, I don't even know. I don't even remember what I was saying with this. Sorry, Lindsay,
Well,
I'm a little tired.
no, we were just talking about how often he got to see you on the
Yeah,
course.
he didn't see me until probably 13. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Well, it's some of the previous marathons, like right before this CIM, where I was trying to qualify, I kept seeing Philip around like 12, 13. And at that point, I had already known, based on how I felt, that there was no way I was going to do it that day. And I would tell him that when I passed him. And then at this marathon, at 13, I was feeling like, I don't know. I don't know about this. And luckily, I didn't see him. So I wasn't even
Mm,
tempted to say
to say
anything.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad I didn't see him when I was having these doubtful thoughts. And
This is
then
a
when I
new
did see him,
strategy.
yes. And then when I did see him, I just gave him thumbs up and smiled. And, he's smiling at me. And then he kept, every time he popped up, he would be smiling and just say, good hand.
Uh-huh.
And, wow, yeah, the race almost couldn't have gone more perfectly. It was like a dream come true.
What is your biggest takeaway? Like, what's your biggest lesson you learned?
Oh, wow. I think there is so much power in your mind and what you believe in terms of gritting it out, where it would have been so easy at mile 13 to just be like, oh, my quads are already feeling tight and this just isn't my day.
Hmm.
Where I kind of just set my mind to, I was like, legs, you are going to continue to do this. And it is kind of the further I got into the race and the closer I got to the finish line, the more and more determined I became in terms of I am not going to stop what I'm doing. It was kind of like it didn't matter what my body was saying to me, like I was going to force it to
Yeah,
do that.
the mind is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah, it was my mind got me to the end of that finish line.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do into the podcast questions.
Okay, great.
What is one thing professionally or personally that you'd like to do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, I would love to finish. I'm working on a yoga book for endurance
Oh,
athletes.
cool.
And I had to kind of set it aside during marathon training, so I want to finish that. That
Okay.
is that is a goal for me, is finish that book.
And then do you have a publisher? Is that self-published?
No, not yet. I'll find a publisher though.
It's
I have
gonna
good
happen.
connections with my PhD in English. I know a lot of publishing people. So,
Yeah,
uh,
why PhD in English? What made you want to do that?
oh, I love reading. So when I was growing up, I was horrible at sports, but I was always a very fast reader, and that was
Mm,
something that, even though I was like the shy little girl in class that was like the teacher's pet, I was really proud of how I could read fast.
mm.
And yeah, anyone who knows me growing up would not be surprised that I got my PhD in English. I just love literature.
Do you
And
also love school? Because I just can't imagine being in school
yes,
that long.
I do love school and I love teaching. I'm glad I'm not on the student end of it anymore. I feel like been there, done that. I think maybe that's just a result of being in school so long for the MA and the PhD, but I love teaching. I love that whole academic environment. And, I taught English at UVA for a couple years. There's weird academic rules where you can only have so many, like 1 year contracts. So I'm not doing English anymore, but I loved that.
But what
Actually,
are
my
you
last,
doing? Are you teaching? Like I know you
I'm
teach
teaching.
yoga, but
Yeah, I'm teaching in the kinesiology department at UVA. So I
okay,
teach a yoga class that the undergrads can take for credit,
okay,
and I teach running for fitness. And
okay.
it's like the best of both worlds in a way. I'm not, I don't have my English classroom anymore, but I still have my academic classroom. But I'm helping, and I have no grading. It's not like I'm grading
Nice.
papers.
Yeah.
And I'm having such an impact on people's lives. Like I have people in my running class who, I had a boy last spring who he told me he had previously like tried to run a 5K and had to stop in the middle and couldn't finish his 5K. And by the end of the semester, he was running, he ran like a 120 something or 130 something half marathon.
Wow.
So he texted me this past fall
That's
that
so
he's
cool.
continued to run. So you see what an impact this has on people's lives. And to me, so much of my college experience was being an athlete. And even when I was a little girl and swimming, I think I couldn't imagine life without swim practice. And that's probably why I still swim so much. Like that's just part of, I don't know, it makes me happy, so I do it. And, I want other people to find that joy in that sort of daily routine of that workout that makes them feel so happy too. And it really does impact the rest of your life. Like getting your PhD is really hard. And I saw a lot of my peers end up on, anxiety medicine. And, sometimes you need that, but I definitely credit my exercise with helping me through a lot of the sometimes very intense mental challenges of academia too. So I love that academic environment. I love school and I really love my students. They're so important to me and they're like the children that I don't have yet.
And your doctor Mazur,
Mazer, yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Mazur.
Hmm.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it does.
You worked really hard for that.
Oh yeah, I just have them call me Ann though,
Do
because
you?
it's like
I
I'm like
bet.
the yoga teacher.
But you're like, but I earned that doctor. Yeah.
Yes,
I wondered that.
I don't let them call me Mrs. Mazer.
They do?
No, I don't
No.
let them do that.
It's
Yeah, I'm like
Anne or
it's
doctor.
Ann. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I love that. What's an
yeah.
accomplishment you're most proud of?
Oh wow. Well, right now I'm pretty dang proud of qualifying for Olympic trials in the marathon. Besides that, I'm really proud of my PhD.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's hard. It's hard even to get into UVA. I think there were like 700 applicants the year I applied, and they took 12 of us.
Wow.
It's it, it's no surprise to me that running was really hard my first couple years of grad school, thinking about everything I had to do to get into grad school.
Yeah.
Yeah, very mentally challenging. It's in some ways, academia is such a weird world right now because people have trouble getting jobs. There's not enough professorships to go around to all these super qualified, super smart people. But, I'll say if someone is looking to hire someone and this person has a PhD in the humanities, that person is one tough cookie if they've come
Yeah.
to the other side and haven't lost their mind yet. So you should probably just hire them because they'll figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of my PhD. And I'm really proud of having run at Notre Dame, especially as a walk-on and surviving that. That wasn't easy to do.
So are you
Yeah.
just like a really hard worker or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because you're
I,
excelling at lots of different things here.
I work very hard. You feel kind of like a jerk saying things like this, but I work harder than almost anybody I know. And
Yeah.
it's just like how I am. It's just how I've always been. I don't know how to not work hard. When I was in high school, my mom would always tell me to go to bed, and I'd be like, "Oh, this isn't done yet," and I would stay up till like 3 in the morning, finishing whatever project it was and making sure it was done how I wanted it done. Um, yeah, so I don't really know how to not work hard. When I was little, I never understood, like sometimes at swim practice, there would be people who would like hide in the locker room to like not go to practice.
Uh-huh.
And I like never understood that. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
How can you not want to do this? This is fun, Or, occasionally the coach would give you a set where if you made it, you got to get out of the pool. And I'm like, no, I want to stay in the pool. Give me an extra set. It's yeah, to me, working hard is also fun if you like what you're doing. And I really love running. I love swimming. I love literature. So it was, a lot of hard work, but I love challenges too. So it's, to me, I get, I feel so accomplished when I do these things that are hard that I think it makes me keep doing these things that are hard too.
That's tough. Like, are you born with that, or are you know what I mean? Because I also think you can train yourself to be a hard worker. Like, this is clearly like a lot of this is like your inherent nature, like how you are wired as a human being. Mm-hmm. But I think we're all happier when we work hard for something and check a goal off the list or whatever. So do you have any any things that you do as someone who works hard that you think help attribute to your successes?
I don't know. I am very organized too. I think that helps. Like, I'm definitely big on planning, and I'm not, and I say that I'm not like one of those like psycho planners who's like mapping out the entire week or the entire day, but just, I think that's where yoga and running are a good combo too. You see these runners who are so type A that they're like way too far at the end of that spectrum, whereas yoga kind of brings you back down to earth and you know how to balance it out. So I'm very organized and I plan really well, but I think just on a daily basis, I really work hard and I don't know how to not work hard in things that I do. It's kind of taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And, if you have one workout where you're trying hard or you're trying the right amount and you don't put too much pressure on yourself and you kind of just enjoy what the effort is, then, and I like endorphins. So.
Do you get a lot of sleep?
Oh, God. I should probably be getting more sleep than I do, but I love sleeping.
Yeah. What do you do? How much do you sleep?
Oh, my gosh. All fall, my mom kept saying to me, Anne, you can get this Olympic trials cut if you just keep getting more sleep. And I kind of listened to her, but not really. I mean, between during the week, I'm only really getting 6 to 8-ish,
Okay.
It's sometimes on the lower end of that,
Yeah.
But on the weekends, if I'm allowed to sleep in, I could sleep till 11 a.m.
So
and I'm like a dead person.
Time. You can bank some time on the weekends.
Yeah, I sometimes have that one day where I sleep 11 hours straight and my husband will come try to wake me up and I won't even be able to answer him back and I'll be like, oh, just like a dead person, just lying there in my sleep coma. It's just beautiful. And I do love sleeping. I'm much better at sleeping in than going to bed early.
Okay. Because at night
horrible.
you more things you want to do.
Yes. I just like being up and alive, I guess.
But do you ever do things that are not worthwhile? Do you watch TV ever?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I love Forensic Files.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched a ton of, I remember reading a blog post of a woman who made it back, I think in 2016. Maybe it was even 2012.
Oh, I bet you're talking about Teal. Are you talking about Teal?
Yeah. I read her blog and she said how she gave up TV.
Huh?
And I'm like, man, I can't give up TV. I don't watch that much TV. I watch TV when I lay in bed at night, and that's about it. And it's like a 20-minute episode of Forensic Files. I like crime shows.
I just really look forward to that. To the, I don't know if the word numbness is the right thing, but just the turning off of everything else and not having to this sounds depressing, but not having to feel anything, just being there.
No, I totally get that. And I think especially as a teacher, I think sometimes I'm half extrovert, half introvert. I love being around people and I thrive off of, actually, I get kind of sad at the end of the semester when I don't see my UVA students on such a regular basis anymore because I just love talking to them. Mm-hmm. They're awesome people. So I love being around people like that. And it makes me sad if I'm just at home doing my writing all day by myself in my computer in my office. But I also have realized with teaching, because I teach a lot. I'll sometimes teach like a dozen classes a week. When I get home, sometimes I really just need to not talk to anybody.
Oh, I bet.
And, even my husband will sometimes he'll show me samples for his company. And I'm like, oh my God, Philip, like, don't show me this pan pill chart right now. Like, I can't pick out a color for you. I'm his color expert because I'm really good at choosing colors. So, but yeah, I love that little like moment of like, I need my division between my day and my calming down time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that's good to know. That makes you sound more human.
Yeah. No,
I
do a lot of, I actually think doing a lot of the human things and relaxing a little is so key. You know, in college, I was in a way so uptight about certain things. Like I actually insisted on like going to bed exactly at 10 p.m. every night. I was like very regimented. And I think, you're in college and you just don't know what you're doing, that it sometimes helps you to have that sort of, whatever. But yoga has loosened me up a lot. And and I have two little brothers who are pretty chill compared to my sister and me. We're definitely, Jill's the most uptight one. she'll let me say, she'll admit that. But my two brothers are so chill that I think they were also a good influence on me to just, I think sometimes, you want to do everything right and like do all the hard workouts and, work and try really hard, but you also want to relax.
Yeah.
And I think you have these people that get too uptight about things that then they're not even having any fun. And, there's other things you should be enjoying in your life besides you're going out for a run too. And yeah, finding that sort of balance. I think that's where the running yoga combo really works so well too, is that it teaches you.
Yeah.
It's just a big journey. And, when you go into your yoga class or your yoga practice, there's going to be poses that feel different from the day before. And there's going to be ones that you might not even be able to do and that you could have done before. And it's all just kind of a journey. You kind of just have to accept where you are at that given moment in time. And that's something that I think that whole mentality of like just trusting your body and listening to it and growing with it day by day. And it's not just this whole upward progression of like, oh, I'm just going to continually get faster. And sometimes I'm just going to have to be patient for a while and then things will click. That patience that it teaches you and, this sort of combination of relaxing and working hard is where you need to find that balance.
She's got us all wanting to go buy unlimited packages at our nearest yoga studio. I actually did yoga on Tuesday for the first time in a long time. I do a reformer Pilates class once a week, and my instructor's out of town, so I just did the yoga class instead. And I just struggle with yoga because I get bored.
Well, you know what you need to do is you need to try more classes.
Okay.
Because people have told me that. Actually, besides the number one thing is people are like, oh, I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga. You hear that. And then to me, the second most thing people say is they get bored during yoga.
And I feel like I'm not accomplishing enough.
Even
though I know you're playing what?
You can find a class that's right for you where the teacher is pushing you where it feels like a workout. Also, I can help you with that.
I know.
Because I have streamable online workouts.
Okay. I know.
There's a whole library of them. And you will feel like you're getting a workout. And actually, that's what a woman who I ran with in high school, she got the workouts and messaged me a couple months ago. And she said she actually always thought yoga wasn't a workout. And she did my yoga workouts. And she's like, it is a workout.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's people who think yoga is boring, not to like be lumping you in that, but you just need to find the right class or the right teacher for you. And you have to just keep going to more classes. Because there are yoga classes that are boring and that aren't very enjoyable. So there's something out there that is just right for you that's going to help your running and be just the perfect yoga class for you.
Yeah, and I will say that I didn't not like the class I was at on Tuesday. I was just like thinking in my head, okay, I'm good with just 30 minutes of this. Like I felt like all the things that I was like things I could be doing other than being there. Yeah. And obviously, like I'm not thinking I'm going to get a running workout in while I'm doing yoga.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look up your classes. And obviously, you guys, we will also link her classes in the show notes so that you can see what Anne's doing.
There's more coming, too. Okay. I just filmed 6 more this fall, and I have to get in touch with my film guy and pump those out.
Where do I find them? Are they just on your website?
Yeah, just on my website, runnersloveyoga.com, and then click on streamable yoga workouts.
Are they on YouTube? Like, is that where they're at?
No, it's a different platform. So you can buy them for lifetime streaming, or you can rent some of them too. But really what people should do is just buy the most recent one. It's 6 yoga classes, and they're all a really nice length. So you can do them in 20 minutes.
Okay.
So don't think to yourself like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. And I
It'll
know
be
as
on
a
my
runner,
computer, and I watch it on the computer.
you can do it on your computer, you can do it on your Roku or your Apple TV or pretty much any device that has a screen that you can stream something to. Yeah.
Because TV I like better. Because computer I feel like it will feel too small.
Yeah, you can stream it to your TV too.
I do think that would be helpful because part of the going to the yoga studio is
takes forever.
Yeah, like I'm going there, and so that's an extra 30 minutes, like 15 minutes there, 15 minutes home, and then add another 15 minutes on like the changing of clothes and all that stuff. So yeah, it's more like an hour is more like an hour 45.
Yeah, no, I totally get that too. That was part of the reason why I wanted to have the streamable workouts because I thought that'll convince more people to do yoga because then you can come in from your run and you just, start the video and bam, and it's so efficient and it becomes part of your routine.
Yes.
And it's actually made me so happy because I'll get messages from people, especially marathon runners. There was a guy who just ran New York who, sent me a message that like he did my videos every day leading up to New York and he could tell when he missed a day. And, actually when I was at the finish line of Grandma's this past summer, a woman came up to me who finished right around me and she said that my hips IT band video was like absolutely so helpful for her. And she actually made me feel really good too because she said that a lot of yoga teachers have annoying voices, but she liked my voice.
That is such a true statement. And
so that made me feel so good. Yeah. I was like, that's such a goofy compliment in a way, but that made me feel so good about myself.
It could make or break. I mean, it's like a podcast. It can really make or break anything where you're using your voice. It's like, and you can't help it. That's your God-given voice. So whether people like it or not, that's what it is.
That's what's coming out of the mouth.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, Anne, what's the best, most recent book you've read?
Oh boy, I actually had to screenshot things. I always put my books I read in my Instagram stories in a highlight because otherwise I forget them.
That's a good idea.
And I went through and I've read, my book reading was going very well this fall until the middle of marathon training. And then I tried to read this book that I can't remember the name of now that had just won the Booker Prize a couple years ago, but it was so dense that it kept putting me to sleep. So I haven't read as many books in the past month as I did for the rest of 2019. But I loved The Power by Naomi Alderman. I'm not going to do this book justice right now, but it's about women kind of getting these special powers where then they become more powerful than men. And I'm going to just leave it there because I'm not going to do a good job explaining it. But it's sort of this interrogation of what power means within the novel. And it's so fascinating. And it's a lot about gendered power, too. So Naomi Alderman, The Power, that was really good. And then I loved The Perfect Horse by Elizabeth Letts. So her last name is Letts. And that is about, it's actually a true story. And it's about World War II, how the Nazis tried to breed the perfect horse. And they stole all these horses from Poland and, everywhere in Europe. And it's a story of what happens to the horses.
Wow.
So if you even remotely like horses as an animal, and you don't even have to like horses, you will love this book. It's so well done. It's, I think people try to write historical books and sometimes they work out really well, but this one was just impeccably researched, but also a good story.
Okay.
So that was great. I loved The Perfect Horse. Those were my two favorites of the year so far, I would say. Of the about 30-ish I've read.
Yeah. We're talking to someone who has their PhD in English, so I'm assuming you read lots of books. What's a nonprofit you like to support?
You probably know what I'm going to say for this one already, but the AFSP, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that. I know. I was like, do I even ask? Because we've covered it, but yeah, I wanted to see. Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what is your one message to send to the world?
Oh, wow. Carve out that exercise time that you really enjoy, because I think people think, my job is the most important thing or making money is the most important thing, but your health is just as important too. And taking that time out each day to work out is going to serve you so well long term, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually and in every way you could. So find a workout that you love and do it every day.
I recently talked to someone who isn't like an avid exerciser, but they said, I just committed to doing 30 minutes a day of movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so even on days where I'm like, this is like a day I'm not going to run, I do try to think about that. Just spend 30
Mhm.
minutes like getting my heart rate up or something because that's just like really what we were made to do.
Correct.
You
Yes.
know?
I agree.
That's so
It just
good.
makes such a difference.
Yeah. Even if
Makes
it's
such
a
a
brisk walk, like 30 minutes, you should
yeah.
be, there's no reason not to be actively engaged in something physical for 30
Hmm.
minutes in one day. And if you're
Yeah.
working all day in an office, it's like my husband does so many laps around his office. He gets
Yeah.
antsy and he just gets
Yeah.
up and like, walks around just to get the blood moving.
Yeah, I have to move. It just makes me feel better. Philip and I are always amazed, and when we travel, you have those people on airplanes who don't move out of their
They
seats.
stay the whole time.
And I'm like, how do you sit like that long? That looks hard,
What do you do? Do you just get up and walk down the aisles or do you like fake go to the bathroom?
I fake go to the bathroom and then I switch position in my seat a lot. So
Yeah.
I'll, sit with like one ankle over a knee and then switch legs.
Uh-huh.
And I fidget a lot, I guess, when I sit down. But you have some people who you look around and they're just like on the headphones and on the iPhone watching a movie and like
Zone
literally
out.
haven't moved position. And I'm like, you can't feel good after this flight. Like, there's just no way. I think also with yoga, people don't realize how good they can feel when they do stretch more too. That's to me, even as a yoga teacher, and I don't know how long have I even been doing this for? Oh my gosh, I've been teaching yoga more than a decade now. But there's times when I do a pose and then I come out of the pose and I'm like, wow,
Mm.
I can't believe how much better I feel now than I did 20 seconds ago. And I think about just the average person, if they could learn that or, experience that, I think that would just make the world a better place.
Yeah, and I heard you say pigeon pose is the one pose to do before a run if you just choose any.
Oh, yeah, pigeon pose.
I
Such a
love
good.
that. Yeah, it's such a good stretch.
Mhm.
All right, Anne. Well, I don't feel like we could just keep going, but
Yeah.
it's time. The time has
Yeah.
come. Thank you so much for doing this so fresh off CIM. I'm putting
Oh,
this
yeah.
out tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're just
can't
like
wait. Yeah.
I just love doing these like quick post race interviews. So I'm really excited to get this out to the listeners less
That's
than a
awesome.
week from the race. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Lindsay, for having me. This was awesome. I just still can't believe it. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.